Tonight, guys, we're gonna look at how to cope with grief. I know we're living in a time where we are seeing more people are losing their life, whether to natural sickness, to accident, especially car accidents on the road, or whether to drive by shooting. So a lot of families, a lot of persons are grieving over loved ones, friends, etc. For this year, for January of this year, when this year starts, 2026, the whole month of January, every Sunday, we have a funeral at church. For the 4 weeks, in 4 Sundays in January alone, we have people burying on that day. We lost the church members, lost families, friends, etc. So a lot of people are grieving. Some people can't, don't, some people grieve longer than some. Some people don't know how to manage grief. It can cause them high blood pressure. It can cause them to get mental, etc. So tonight, I want to share this very important topic with you guys: how to cope with grief. But before I talk about how to cope with grief, some of us are grieving, but we don't know, because we don't know what is grief, and we don't know the different types of grief, and we don't know what emotions affected when we are grieving. So sometimes we not even know that we are grieving. Sometimes we just think that we're just having a bad day or a sad day, but we don't know that we are grieving, and deep behind it is affecting us mentally. If we don't get counseling, if we don't, especially if you're a person that love to keep your grief by yourself and you don't like to talk out and tell others, or find somebody confident that you can trust to talk about what is happening to you. And in times of grief, we need people around us, even if they're not, especially when you're grieving a loved one. That's what we are talking about. Especially when you're grieving a loved one, we need people to come and support us. And very important too, I need to let you know that sometimes when we are grieving, some people don't know what to say to people when they are grieving, and they can make that grieving person grieve more, and get the person more sad. So you have to know. So we're gonna look at what to say, or how to deal with people that are grieving. So I'm gonna give you a definition of what is grief, the different types of grief, what emotions are affected by grief, and what if we when we are supporting somebody that is grief, what to say and how to say, so, talk to that person, so that the grieving don't get worse. So let us look at it. We're gonna look at what is grief. Grief is a natural, multifaceted response to loss, encompassing emotion, physical and behavioral reaction to the death of a loved one, relationship breakups, or major changes in the life of the person. So let's look at it. First step, we are talking about what how to cope with grief. And I said that we're gonna talk in this video. First of all, I'd like to talk about, let me give you the definition of grief so you can know what is grief. And then we're gonna look at the different types of grief. Then we're gonna look at how to what the different emotions, we feel, different emotions that are affected by grief. We're gonna look at how to approach somebody that is grieving and what to say to the person so that the person um you know don't feel even more depressed and sad, especially when they lost a loved one, especially when they lost a loved one. So you have different types of grief, and we're going to look at different types of grief. We're going to look at the griefs, and the grief, you find you have different type. People grieve in many ways, but some griefs are more than some, especially if the loss of a loved one is when you go through divorce. Those are two common grief: loss of a loved one, going through a divorce, being, when you have somebody, if you have a serious sickness like cancer, you have somebody, a relative or a close friend, that they have a serious terminal sickness. That is, grief. So let us look at grief. What is grief? Grief is a natural, multifaceted response to a loss. So grief is a natural, multifaceted response to a loss, encompassing emotions, physical and behavioral reaction to the death of a loved one, relationship breakup, or major life changes such as critical illness. So it is a unique, non-linear process that can cause profound sadness, anger, numbness, physical symptoms like fatigue and pain. So what I said, what is grief? Grief, let me go back over it. Grief is the natural, multifaceted response to a loss, encompassing emotions, physical and behavioral reaction to death. How do you respond to death of a loved one? You behave, you. So we're gonna look at some key aspect of grief, or we can look at different types of grief. Different types of people grieve. First, we have the it is personal. We have the personal grief. We have personal grief. We have beyond sadness, impact on health, not just death, non-fixed timeline. And so, yeah, so this is some key aspect of griefs. Some key aspect of griefs. One aspect of grief, it is personal grief. What is personal grief? Personal grief is, so listen now, while universal, everyone experiences grief differently, and there is no right way to grieve. So personal grief, people, so everybody responds to grief differently. Everybody responds to grief differently. So grief is personal. You need to know that grief is personal. You can have 5 children and the parents and say they lost their mother. So you have 5 children and the parents and they lost their mother. These 5 children are gonna grieve in different way. Some of them are gonna cry, they're gonna weep bitterly. Some Persons, they don't show their grief. They act strong, but behind closed door they are crying. Some people, when they're grieving, they deny, they're living in denial. They're saying no, the person can't die, the person is not dead. And instead of grieving, they're living in self-denial. They don't want to admit the fact that the person is dead. So instead, so that is what there's how they react to death. So some people will try to talk to others and, tell others what they feel. Talk to somebody about it, whether a counselor, whether they go to counselor, whether they talk to some pastor, talk to somebody that they can trust. The more they talk the situation that they are grieving about or they are feeling, the more it will help them to, get better and help the grieving process quicker. So people grieve in different ways. So grief is personal. Not everybody grieves the same way in response to death, in response to having losing a loved one. And not everybody grieve in the same way if they if they have a divorce, get a divorce, their marriage break up and they get a divorce. Not everybody grieve the same way if they have a loved one that is going through a terminal illness, or if they themselves are going through that terminal illness. So grieving is personal. Everybody responds to grief in different ways. The way that is best, they can best deal with it. So that is one aspect of grief. Another aspect of grief is beyond sadness. Beyond sadness, grief is a combination of emotions including shock, confusion, anxiety, and sometimes relief. So beyond sadness, so grief is a combination of emotions. So this is what make up grief. What make up grief? When you are grieving, what make up it? Your emotions, shock, confusion, anxiety, and sometimes relief. Another aspect of grief is how it impact on health. Impact on health. How grief impact on your health. It can cause physical symptoms such as headache, insomnia, cognitive issues, trouble concentrating, and behavioral changes. So grief can so how does grief affect someone's health? Grief can cause physical symptoms such as headaches and insomnia. It can cause cognitive issues such as trouble concentrating. It can also cause behavioral changes, like the person just suddenly withdraw from, and keep silent and don't want to be with nobody. They just want to be by themselves and they withdraw. So that is how it affects your health. It can cause headaches. Grieving can affect your mental health. Another aspect of grieving is not just death. While commonly associated with death, it also stems from job loss, divorce, or loss of health. So away from so grieving not only affect, is not just death people grieve for. People, when people are grieving, they don't just grieve. That is just one symptoms, one way of grieving. That there are many things that can cause people to grieve. Just death. Other ways that can cause them to grieve is if they lost a job, they get fired from the job, and they may be the sole provider to take the one that is taking care of the home. They have responsibility, they have bills to pay, and they lost their job and they don't know where to get the money, and they don't have any money to pay their bills or to take care of their family. That can cause grief. That can cause immense grief too. So away from grieving, away from death, there are other other ways in which people grieve. They grieve if they lost a job. They grieve if they get a divorce. If they're going through a divorce, they can grieve if if they lose their health. If they have their health, you have terminal illness. If they are sick and they are terminal illness, that is another other ways of that people grieve. Not only in death, but divorce, bad health, loss of job, etc. Another important thing to note, so another aspect of grief is no fixed timeline. No fixed timeline. There is no fixed timeline to how somebody grieve, especially if you are grieving for a loved one. There's no specific timeline to say you will get over this grief. Some people grieve longer than others. Some people grieve for years. They grieving over a loved one that they lost, over a divorce. So people grieve, people's timeline of grieving, of getting over their grief is different. And there is no fixed, no doctor or no counselor can tell you there's a fixed timeline to somebody's grieving. Just as how grieving is personal, we deal with grief in different ways. So it is also, people take longer, some people take longer to grieve than others. So what is saying here, does not follow, grief does not follow a strict, predictable path. So no doctor, no one can tell you, say, it takes 3 months for you to grieve. After 3 months, or even after a year, the grieving, you will stop grieve. There is no formula. There is no timeline. People deal with grief in different ways, and people grieve longer than somebody else. So grieving does not follow a strict, predictable path, such as the common stages, such as, so if the person is in denial, if the person is angry, if the person is bargaining, if the person is depressed, is going under depression and acceptance, if they are going under this. So people have different way. Some people, when they are grieving, they're in denial. They are saying, especially if they are grieving over a loved one, they're in denial of the love that the loved one is dead. So they tell themselves that no, this cannot be true. So the longer they come to reality and accept the person is, they lost, the person is dead, then this, they will start to get over the grief little by little. But the longer they take to deny the fact that the person is not dead, the longer they take to so once they're still in the denial process, that this is not happening, then it is the longer it is going to take for that person to come over their grieving period. And also, if the person is angry, because the person can be angry, especially if you lose someone. If you say you lose a loved one, whether somebody shot, so a gunman or some shot your loved one, or if the person was if your loved one was in the hospital and the doctor did not pay attention to your loved one in the hospital, or they did not act, they did not do what they're supposed to do on time, and the loved one died. That can cause somebody to grieve every time they remember the experience of that. They can cause them to grieve longer. Also, if the person is under depression, if the person is depressed, is going through anxiety and depression because of the loss of the loved one, then depression can affect your mental health. And when it affects your mental health, it's going to take longer for you to get over the grieving. It is going to take longer for you to get over the grieving. So there is no fixed time to grieving. Everybody grieve in their own time, and they in different ways, and everybody take, some people take longer to grieve, some don't, some people get over it. It depends on how strong you are mentally and physically to get over it. The sooner you come to reality and accept that the person is gone, is the better for you. Another, so this is what now, common reactions. How do people react to grief? How does how does somebody act to grief? So common reactions to grief is emotional. People get emotional when they are grieving. Intense sadness, anger, guilt, loneliness, and numbness. These are some of the reactions to grief. So some people react to grief emotionally. Some people react to grief physically. Some people react to grief in cognitively slash behavioral. So let us look at them. How does um, somebody that respond to grief emotionally, what does that mean when somebody react to grief emotionally? When somebody react to grief emotionally, you will find that they have intense sadness, they become angry easily, they feel guilty if they did not pay, especially if they did not treat their loved ones right, or they don't get enough time, did not get to say goodbye, or they were not, they maybe that loved one and them were not on good terms, and they did not get to forgive each other, or they did not get to see, if they did not get to see their loved one before they die. That can cause guilt, loneliness, especially if for example, if it is, you have two persons, two couples, maybe they're very elderly, old, they grow together. If I look at a elderly couple, say 99, 98, 99, and they have been married for years. They've been married for years, they live together, all the children are grown, and they have been living for years. And then at 99 or 98, one of them died. For to be married to somebody for so long, and you for 50 years, 60 years of married to the person, you grow, especially if you were married from 18, and you grow and you're still together until the both of you are in your 90s, married for 60 odd years, children and their own, and you live together. When that person die, when one of the party die, the other one is gonna feel lonely. And sometimes you realize that what happened when somebody live together for so long, after being married for so long, and they're up in age, and one of them die, you realize that soon after that person die, the other one take it to heart. Maybe they miss them, they go through a season of loneliness, and it can bring depression and anxiety, and they will, and maybe they cannot come get over, they cannot get over the loss of that loved one that died, because they have been living together for years, married for years, and that's the only part that the person that they were close to, they can talk to. So it's like a part of, after being married for 60 years, living till you're old in your 90s, and no one party dead. So when one party dead, now the other one is going to have intense loneliness, and intense loneliness can lead to a lot of health issues. It can lead to heart attack, it can lead to high blood pressure, it can lead to depression. So you realize a lot of persons, when they have been living together, when they are married for years, and they live together until they're 99, and one die, and leave the other one is going to go through immense loneliness, and sometimes they take it to heart, take it to heart, and die shortly. You find shortly after that one die, then the other one die, because they can't live without, they can't bear the loneliness of not having that party. It can affect them mentally. It can cause dementia, high blood pressure, depression, sadness and loneliness. So are we? So we, what I'm looking at, how does grief affect us? It affects us. What common reactions do do we go through when we are grieving? We go through emotional. We have emotional reaction to it. We have physical reaction to it. We have cognitive slash behavioral reaction to it. And I am looking at how I'm looking at how grief, how we how does somebody react to grief emotionally. Some persons react to grief emotionally, like for example, they have intense sadness, they feel anger, they feel guilty, they feel loneliness, they feel numbness, especially if you are grieving and the loss of a loved one. Another, how does somebody react to grief physically? How does somebody react to grief physically? For example, the loss of a loved one. How does somebody react to grief physically? When you are grieving somebody physically, this is how it affects your body. It causes exhaustion. It makes you feel tired. It causes nausea. It causes body aches, and it causes changes in your appetite. You don't have no appetite to eat. You lost your appetite. You have body pain. You have body aches, especially you find your shoulders. Sometimes when you're stressed because of the grief, it can cause stress upon the person, and sometimes stress can have a negative effect on your body. It can cause a lot of aches and pains in your joints, in your nervous system, and so forth. So physically physically grief can affect our body, causing us to be exhausted. It get tired easily because we are so stressed. We are feeling sad about the situation. We are feeling lonely, and we are feeling numbness about the situation because it is affecting us emotionally. Now it start to affect us physically. The emotionally part bring now so when it affects us emotionally, which is sadness, anger, guilt, loneliness, and numbness. These things, when it affects us emotionally, it is certainly gonna affect us, our body parts, and it causes stress. It can cause high blood pressure. It can cause exhaustion. You're tired easily. It can cause you to have nausea. Feel like you're gonna faint. You feel like you're gonna vomit. You have headache. You have body aches because of stress, and you lost your appetite. Some people lost their appetite and they can't eat, and some people when they are stressed they eat more. They have a their appetite increase and they put on a lot of weight. Some people when they are stressed or they're going grief, they can't eat, and they lost. Oh, oh my God, what is this? Hello, hello. I'm gonna block this person. This person keep on calling this number, and I'm gonna block him. I'm gonna find a way to block this number. This number keep on calling me, and I tell the person say it's the wrong number. That's not what I want. I don't even know to block. So another way. So I was saying, guys, sorry about that. Let me go So we are looking at how grief affect us emotionally and how grief affect us physically. So we are saying that grief affect us emotionally. It causes us to have intense sadness. It causes us to be anger. It causes us to feel guilty. It causes us to feel loneliness. It causes us to feel loneliness. It causes us to feel numbness. That's when it affects us emotionally. And when grief affects us physically, it causes our body to be easily exhausted, tired easily. It causes us to feel like we want to faint, we want to vomit. It causes us to have headaches, body aches, you know, you, back ache, shoulder aches, all kind of aches. And it causes either loss of appetite or increase in appetite, depends on how you deal with stress. So another way in which we another reaction to um another reaction to grief is this. Another reaction to grief is it another reaction to grief is the cognitive slash behavioral. Cognitive is, what do you understand by cognitive? When your brain, using your brain. So another reaction to grief is cognitive slash behavioral reaction. This means you're in disbelief, forgetfulness, dreaming of last person, or losing interest in daily activity. This is serious because this can affect your mental health. So another aspect, another reaction, another way people react to grief is it causes the person to be in disbelief. They can't believe, or they're in denial that the person is dead. It can cause the person to be cause forgetfulness. It can cause the person not to remember things. Can't remember anything. It can cause forgetfulness. It can cause the person keep on dreaming about the loved one. It affect them mentally because the person start to dream about seeing the loved one. And it can cause the person to lose the interest in daily activity. The person doesn't want to do anything. The person doesn't want to isolate and lock up in their room and bed by themselves, just thinking about the situation. They don't want to talk. They're withdrawn from society, withdrawn from everybody, and this is not good because this can lead to the person to commit suicide. Grief is a process of adjustment where the intensity typically lessens over time as the individual adapt to life after the loss. So what we are saying that grief over time, the grief will lessen. It don't mean that you get about the person, you don't remember the person that died, your loved one. It don't mean that when you get over the grief, you when the grief when you able can cope with the grief, when you're getting over it. It don't mean that you are gonna not remember your loved one again. You're gonna still remember the loved one, but what happened in this process, the person is now stop grieving and start come to reality. So the person is dead. So over time, as the months go by, depends on how long you take to grieve, as the months go by, as the year go by, you start to accept when you're not seeing the person around, and you get used to not seeing the person around and so forth. Then you're gonna eventually get used to it now, and your body will adjust. Your emotions, you will adjust to it. Your physical, your body will adjust to it, your emotion will adjust to it, and your brain will adjust to it. So grief is a process of adjustment. Grief does not have a set time. Everybody grieves in a different way, and grieving everybody grieve different way, and grieving time for everybody is different. So grief is a process of adjustment where the intensity typically lessen. So what they're saying, the intensity of the grief will lessen over time. That emotion, that sadness will start to go away little by little. That anger will start to go away. The guilt will start to go away. The loneliness and the numbness over time will start to lessen until it is gone totally. The physical, the exhaustion of not wanting to sleep, of tiredness, of feeling like you're gonna vomit, they have headache and all kind of body aches. You lost your appetite, you don't have an appetite. Over time, the intensity of the grief such as these over time will lessen and lessen, and the person start to adjust their mind, their body, their brain, and everything start to adjust the reality that the person is no more. So grief is a process of adjustment where the intensity typically lessens over time as an individual adapt to life after the loss. So when the individuals start to adapt to the life after the loss is they they in and that is when the intensity of the grief will lessen over time until it is totally gone, but the person will live in your memory, but that intensity will go away eventually. So let us run over again, guys. What did I say about grief? What did I say grief is? We look at what is grief. We give you different aspect. We talk about some of the ways in which people grieve. We look at some aspect of grief. We talk about what emotions are, what common reactions people have to grief. So let me give a summary again. Grief is a natural, multifaceted response to a loss of a loved one, especially. It is an encompassing emotional, physical, and behavioral reaction to the death of a loved one, a relationship breakup such as divorce, or major life changes such as illness. It is a unique, non-linear process that can cause profound sadness, anger, numbness, and physical symptoms like fatigue or pain. Key aspects of grief. We look at key aspects of grief, and some of the key aspects of grief are: it is personal, it is beyond sadness, it have it impact your health, and it is not just death people grieve about. It is not just death that people grieve. It has no fixed time. So we look at four, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We look at 5 aspects of grief. It is personal. It is beyond sadness. It can impact one's health. It is not just death, and it has no fixed time. And we said grief is personal because everybody grieves in different ways. People grieve. I said that people grieve by just crying and get it out of the system. Some people grieve by telling others and getting counseling and getting help so they can, get stronger. Some people pray about it. Some people are in denial and they refuse to believe that the person is dead. Some people grieve in a way where they isolate themselves, they withdraw from society, they withdraw and by themselves. Some people grieve in different ways. Some people don't even cry. You won't see tears and they look happy, but down inside they are hurting, but they don't show it. So grief is personal. And it so while universal, everyone experiences grief differently, and there is no right way to grieve. There is no right way to grieve, and there is no timeline on which a person has will get over their grief. So grief is personal. There is no right way to grieve. Everybody grieve different way, and there is no timeline on grief. The doctor can't tell you there's a timeline on it, because some people take years to get over the grief, and some people take a shorter time to get over the grief. It depends on how the grief affect them emotionally, mentally, or how it affect their cognitive or behavioral um their behavior or their cognitive, their mind, how it affect their mind. So we look at beyond sadness. What That's one aspect of grief, and we say beyond sadness is grief is a combination. So we say what make up grief? What are some of the emotions? What are some of the emotions in grief? In grief you have a combination of emotions. Shock. When somebody grieve, they have emotions such as they are shocked, they are confused, their anxiety, and sometimes they get relief. So those are some of beyond sadness. Another thing is that grief can affect one's health. The impact that grief has on one's health, it can cause physical symptoms like headache, insomnia. It can cause cognitive issues like trouble concentrating. It can cause behavioral changes such as the person withdraw from society. Another key aspect of grief is not just death. So it's not only death that somebody grieve. Somebody can grieve because they lost their job. Somebody can grieve because they are going through a divorce. Somebody can grieve because of the loss of their health. They're in critical condition, or they have some relatives that are in critical condition. So these are just some of the other ways apart from grief, from death, that people grieve. And the other aspect of grief is grief has no fixed timeline. Grief does not follow a strict, predictable path, such as commonly cited stages of denial, anger, bargaining, and depression and acceptance. So, it depends on how the person's emotions are, their physical, emotional, mentally. It depends on how they are feeling. Then we look at some of the ways in some of the common reaction to grief. We look at emotional grief, we look at physical grief, we look at cognitive slash behavioral grief. And we say emotional grief includes intense sadness. We say that emotional, the way a person, when a person reacts to grief emotionally, they will feel intense sadness, anger, guilt, loneliness, or numbness. And when some people react to grief, how grief affect somebody's body. How does grief affect you physically? What impact does grief have on somebody's body? It can cause the person to get tired easily, exhaustion. It can cause the person to feel nausea, like they want to vomit, they want to faint. It can cause a lot of body aches, headache, shoulder pain, neck pain, and it can cause somebody to lose their appetite, or they don't want to eat, or they might have an increase in appetite. They're eating so much because they're under stress or they're depressed. It can So another common reaction to grief is cognitive behavior. Some people are in disbelief that the person died, or the thing is whatever is happening. Some people become forgetfulness. Some people keep on dreaming of the loss of the loved one, and this is not helping them. Some people lose interest in daily activity. They don't want to bathe. They don't want to take care, comb their hair. They don't want to, they don't want to look after their personal hygiene. They don't want to clean their house and keep themselves tidy. They don't want to go to work. They don't want to go to church. They just want to isolate themselves. So, but grief is what grief is. Grief is a process of adjustment, and it takes time. It takes time for the person to get over the grief. So when people grieving, you can't rush them. There is no fixed time. So grief is a process of adjustment where the intensity of the grief over time will lessen. The intensity of the sadness, of the anger, of the guilt, of the loneliness, of the numbness, of the exhaustion, of the nausea, of the body pain, of the loss of appetite, of the disbelief, the forgetfulness, of dreaming of the last one, of loss of daily activity, of withdrawal. Over time, it will lessen. The intensity will lessen over time as the individual adapt to reality of that the person is no longer around. So this is just as I said, guys, I promise you guys that on this channel I'm gonna do some very do some live that you can learn from. I'm going to do videos on this live that you guys can learn from. Interested videos that you can learn from. So when you come on this channel, guys, you will learn something from it. It's educational, it's inspirational, and when you leave, you will get something that can help you, that can benefit you guys. So guys, I'm asking you to watch the videos, then watch the live. You're watching the shorts, watch the videos, and come and when you see me on live, come on live. Come on live, come support the live, watch the live. Don't just come up on the live and go away. These are very interesting, guys. These are very interesting topics. A lot of persons are grieving. You might be grieving. You might know a family member is grieving, and you don't know how to deal with the family member, and you see the family member withdraw, and you just leave the family member and say the family member don't want to talk. But if you didn't know what is grieving, if you didn't have that understanding what is grieving, you would have make sure that you rally around that individual that is grieving and give them as much, even if you don't say nothing, just be around them and support them. Just sometimes you just come and pat them on the back. You don't have to say anything, just that to support them and make you know that somebody cares. If some if God just leaving the person like that, and the person go commit suicide because they're grieving. Some of us don't know these, because so these are very important lessons for you guys to learn from. Very important lessons, so you can know what to do when you're grieving, and you can know what to do when when you have a loved one or family member that is grieving, how to help them, or a friend, a co-worker, whoever is grieving. You can know how to cope with it and how to help them to cope with it, guys. So please, guys, please like the video, please subscribe, and please comment. Please comment, guys. So that is just my way, guys. This is just my way of telling you and how to cope with grief. I hope you learn something from this video. I hope you learned something from this video that can help you or help somebody that you know that is grieving. So this is where I'm gonna end this video now, guys. I just want to thank you for those that have subscribed to my channel. Thank you for those, that do come on and watch the live, but you don't tarry. But thank you anyway, guys. So, guys, I just hope that you learn something from this video, and please, please, I'm asking you to support the live, because I have some very interested life-changing facts, information, educationally, that can help you. So this channel is a channel that you can come back and to learn something. So please guys, don't come and go, but please, please guys, support the live, support the live by just watching the videos. Because you see this video, I know that you might not be grieving, no, you don't know nobody is grieving, but at one point in this life we grieve not only because of the death of a loved one. We grieve because of we going through a divorce. We grieve because of life changes. We grieve because of serious illnesses. We grieve, we have different grieving, and we people grieve different in different ways. People and have different ways in which to grieve. Some people take a longer time to grieve than others, and very importantly, we need to know what is grief so that we can know how it affects our health, how it affect our body, how it affect our mental health. It can affect our mental health so that some people just withdraw and commit suicide. So if you watch this video and you're learning, so if you see somebody grieving, you can watch this video. So when you see these signs and symptoms, then you can know what to do to help your loved one. And even if you are the person that is grieving, is there information here that can help you? Guys, this channel is just here for us. Look, it is something educational, and I promise you guys that I will be doing a lot of these videos. Now I look at grief. There are other things that I'm gonna look at. I'm formulating some very important topics that you can learn from. Right now, so much things are happening since the year start. Much persons have lost their life to critical illness, to accident, to drive-by shooting. People have lost their life to so many things since the year start. Guys, January alone, every Sunday for the 4 Sundays in January, there have been funeral going on at my church. They have seen so much persons die since the start of the year. Guys, we don't know when, we don't know how, but we need to educate ourselves about these things. So when these things start to happen around us, it might not affect us now, but when it start to happen around us, to us, or with our family, or with our loved one, we can know how to deal with it. We can know to deal with it. Grieving is a serious process, and it can affect your body, your mind, body, and it can affect your soul if the person is coming through. So how does grief? It can affect your mind, your body, and your soul. How it affect your mind? It can cause the mental. How it can affect your body? It can cause stress. It can cause tiredness, headache, body pain. How it affect your soul? It can cause you to commit suicide, and when you commit suicide, you're already gone to hell, because once you kill yourself, there's no you can't go to you can't go to heaven. So so grief can, don't take it light. She's here for views, but what am I giving you? I'm giving you something that you can learn from. So it's just not for views, but you are learning in the process. What am I giving out? I'm giving you something in the process that you can learn from. So you come here and you get something to learn from. This is what the direction of this channel is all about. You, to help you. So when you watch my videos, when you like or you comment, in whatever way you support me, I am also supporting you because I'm giving out information to help people, to educate them so that they can have a better life, so their health and their mental ability to help their friends and their families and their loved one and themselves. It's a two-way process, guys. A lot of people have channels, guys, and they do other videos. They do videos like, they go out there and they do videos like travel videos. They look, their couples videos and art videos. I understand people like those videos, but you have videos like these that people tell you about these things that you can learn. At the end of watching those videos, it might be nice, but what do you learn? How does it help you? So my my thing is on this channel is to help you. The facts of life is, it is facts. You hear what my channel is all about? The name of my channel is Life in Essence. It's about life. It's about the reality of life. It's about impression, helping the human body, mind, and soul, spiritually, physically, and emotionally. So this is what this channel, so those that come on this channel don't know what it is about. This is the direction in which I want to use what I can to help others, because there are people out there that are grieving now. Some people lost lost their mother, lost their father, lost their loved ones, and they are grieving. They are grieving. They withdraw. Some grieving can cause people to go mental, to go mad, insane. So this is why I did this video, so you can help somebody. You can share this video. You can share this video. You can watch this video with your family, with somebody, so that they too can learn, that they too can understand what to do and how to cope with grief, help somebody cope with grief. I know, guys, sometimes, you go to you see, for example, somebody die. I've seen times where people dead, somebody lost their loved one, and somebody go to them and say, like I said, John, you need to, the person dead and the person not coming back anymore. So it's, don't bother cry. It's just so, it's that's how life go. You don't need, just get over it. You can't tell somebody that when they are grieving. That is what, you have to know when somebody are grieving what to say. If you don't know what to say, all you can do and go and support the person. You give them a hug, you give them a tap on the shoulder, and you just to show your support. If you don't know what to say, because sometimes you might say something to somebody that is grieving, and you make the grieving stage get worse. You can even say something that causes a person to even go commit suicide or get mad. So sometimes you have to know how to deal with somebody that is grieving, what to say, when to say, and how to say it too. Sometimes some people go and say, oh, I understand how you're feeling. You understand. If you have never been in the person's situation, how you gonna understand? If you never have that experience, so you're gonna tell the person, I know how you're feeling. You don't know the person because you have never, and even if you have been into that situation, people grieve differently. So you can't expect the same way you grieve about the same situation that you was in, that person is gonna grieve the same situation in the same way that you grieve. No. So you can't just say, I understand what you're going through, not because you went through the same thing. You grieve differently. The persons they grieve differently. You take a longer time to grieve, the person gonna take a shorter time, vice versa. You deal with it different. There are different ways to deal with it. So guys, we have to know what, when, and where, and what to say when somebody is grieving. When somebody is grieving, we have to know what to say, guys. So I hope this video, guys, I hope it helps somebody. I hope you learned something from it. And if you could just kindly, if you could, you guys, comment. Let me hear in the comment section if you even what you think about this video. What if you have you learned something from it? Comment, guys. Don't be shy. There's no need to be shy on this video. On this, don't be shy. I am not shy. Don't be shy. It's just the facts of life. It's just the facts of life, guys. There's no need to be shy. We are just all a part of life. And I'm talking about life. So you don't be shy. If you have ever gone through grief, you can comment. Have you ever gone through grief? How did you deal with grief? Have you ever have a loved one that was so close to you? You can talk about it. You can share your experience. How did you react to your grief? How did you react? You understand? So this is just what the video about. I wish I could have more of you interact with me on this channel, and let us talk. Let us interact, because when somebody comments on my YouTube channel, I love to comment back. Everybody that comment on my YouTube channel, I comment back. I'm not one of those persons that when somebody comment, I ignore it. I try to comment back. I reply back to them. I get in touch. I keep in touch with those that comment with my subscriber to have a one-on-one with them, guys. Today I was feeling very down, but I said, it's the devil, I need to rise up. So I said, let me do this video to take my mind off of the stress of life. Let me do this video, and let me do what I love to take my mind off of the stress of life. I just, so what I like to do best, I like to do YouTube videos. I like to talk to you guys. So that is why. So when I was feeling stressed, and I said, let me find something that I need to talk to my subscribers about, and so this is what I came up with, just talk about grief. And so that made me feel good when I come on my channel to do a live, and there are people watching me and people are commenting. That is what I feel, because sometimes, guys, there are times when I don't feel good. I feel depressed, living by myself alone, and I don't want to talk to. And sometimes it can cause depression. So my only company I have now, guys, is just come on YouTube and do live, do videos and live and talk to you guys, because at least, even though I'm alone at home, when you react to me and I react to you, it make me feel less lonely, because I have somebody reacting to me. And I'm talking to them. They might not, you might not be here with me, but just by commenting, it make me feel less lonely. You understand, guys? So, doing what I best, inspired, educating, motivating. That's what I do best. So, guys, I'm